Joining us now via Skype is Marie Oakes, one of my favorite people. She's with the Westphalian Times, and she's a TikToker for freedom. Marie, great to see you again. How you doing?
How are you doing tonight? I mean,
well,
that speech by Ron DeSantis was fantastic.
Yeah, tell me what you thought about it. What stuck out in your mind?
I would say really like how he did COVID and how he dealt with COVID. That was throughout that speech. He really said, like, we did this in Florida. We did things differently. We didn't have these lockdowns. And I do really think that we are seeing this voter share we're having because of how well he did do COVID compared to other states. People fled all over the United States and Canada to Florida.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that the success of an unabashed, unashamed, media resistant, take the offensive, but don't go crazy. Like he's not full Trump. He's sort of the 80% as much as Trump, but that means he gets in trouble far less because it's that last 5% that gets Trump in trouble. So you have he's very firm and vigorous with the media. He's got a great press team, Christina Pushaw. I mean, just they're very proactive, but mainly he just didn't blink. And I remember when he said, we're not doing the lockdowns, we're keeping the schools open. And for about 2 weeks, the media was, we can bully this guy. And he didn't bend and the world didn't end. And I think that set the tone. I think it gave courage to other governors. It gave courage to other jurisdictions, even up here in Canada. I remember Jason Kenney in 2020 bragging to me, very, very ironic considering what happened later, that he was considered the Ron DeSantis of Canada. Like if Ron DeSantis was your yardstick, not just in Florida, but around America, but also around the world, I think Ron DeSantis helped free North America over the last 2 years, not just Florida. His example, and I hope his example, as Sheila says, inspires other conservative leaders. Now, tell us where you are. I think you're in the state of Illinois, if I'm not mistaken. That is as deep blue as it gets, doesn't it?
I mean, the thing is, people think Illinois is a blue state. It's not. We are overrun by the city of Chicago, specifically Cook County. We are a red state. You leave Chicago, you see like redneck type of folks, you see working class people. Where I live, everyone has Republican signs. And my whole time here, even when I drive through Chicago, I saw 2 J.B. Pritzker for governor signs, and he's already been the governor, but he doesn't have that much support. But because he has D by his name, people in Cook County will vote for him.
Yeah, that's how it is. Eh? Are there other districts or states or, whether it's at the state level for governor or the Senate, are there other races you're watching? What are some bellwethers that will tell us what kind of a night this is? I mean, I think everyone expected DeSantis to win. I'm really nervous about Georgia, the Georgia Senate. It is so close. I'm having, it makes me anxious to check it right now. Warnock is at 41% and Herschel Walker, the Republican, is trailing. I don't know if he's going to, I don't think the Republicans are going to flip that seat in Georgia, which makes me deeply sad. Or who knows? Maybe the liberal urban centers are the ones that are voting first. I just don't know the state well enough. I was hoping for Republican turnover there. And I'm very bullish on Arizona, where you've got Blake Masters running for Senate. He's sort of a Peter Thiel Trump Republican. And on the governor's side, of course, you have the amazing Carrie Lake, who's just a star on social media. Whether or not she's got the horsepower on the ground, we don't know. That's what I'm keeping an eye on. What are you interested in, Marie?
There's a few different ones. Those ones you listed, those are kind of the big ones. But there is this district in Indiana, District 1. It has Gary, Indiana, which is next to Chicago, but then the whole district overall. This has been a Democrat state, but the polling has been consistently showing like it's squeezing with the Republican candidate. And right now it's 43 to 56. So Democrats leading 56%. That's still very close with only 75,000 votes in. So, and this is like where Indianapolis is. So I'm really curious about this place. And then of course the Michigan race. New Hampshire is kind of an interesting one. I don't think it'll pull through right now. It's not looking too hot, but we're really early. So it's always hard to say when we're so early. People are scared about Pennsylvania. People, like you are scared about Georgia, but we're so early where it's like, it's probably about 2 more hours. So we really get an idea of where things are at right now. right now, Florida seems to be more red than Texas, and everyone thinks of Texas as this big Republican red place, but maybe Florida's the new Texas in the U.S.
Yeah, I think it is for sure. Sheila, what's on your mind?
I was looking at, as Ezra and Marie both pointed out, Governor DeSantis probably did free the free world from COVID lockdowns, because when you look at the states that followed his lead, because he took the slings and arrows right away when he said, we're done with this stuff. Texas, Beto O'Rourke, the Democrats are not bringing their best there, but he's doing, I think, more poorly than people thought he would. And then if you take a look at South Dakota, and I know it's very early in South Dakota, but Kristi Noem there, she only won with a 3-point spread against the Democrat challenger in 2018. And she's absolutely leveling the Democrat challenger this time. She's out fundraised like the highest amount of fundraising dollars in South Dakota ever. And she's basically created a Democrat party there that doesn't exist. There are more registered independents now there than Democrats. And I think that's not necessarily her. I think that's the DeSantis effect.
I would say there's also one more race that people should be looking at. It's not one that's really on people's radar because it's more of local, but the LA mayor race. You have
Yes, we talked about that with Joel Pollack. Yeah.
Okay, because you see like people like Katy Perry, they, posting pictures of themselves voting for this guy. And, used to be a Republican, but he went independent when Trump went into, became president. But you're seeing so many celebrities kind of showing how upset they are with what's going on in LA. And LA is like actually awful. Like, I don't think, Canadians realize how bad LA is. You see it in the movies and you think it's all glitz and glams. Like, no, if you go to downtown LA, it is homeless people. It's not really like a normal city like New York or Chicago or one of these other like Toronto, but it's different. So that's an interesting one where, these Democrats, they do, start to see things are happening that they might not really like. And maybe they're noticing that their policies were not working too well. And maybe they're open to change.
I'm just nervous about the fact that, it's not who casts the vote, it's who counts the vote. And you got to be careful when you talk about that on a live stream, because YouTube, it's funny because in the last couple of days, the mainstream media has been awash with stories of, it's perfectly normal to have voting take days or even weeks to count. Like, you have this entire narrative about don't trust the red wave. It's not that bad. It's almost like the Democrat media this time is saying, we don't believe the results. They're going to try and steal it. So that's kosher. It really depends on which side you're in. For example, Stacey Abrams in Georgia has 100 times declared herself to be the rightful, queen of the throne. And she was deposed and the usurper sits on the throne. It's quite something that, Carrie Lake, the gubernatorial candidate in Arizona, was brilliant about this when she was, I don't know if Efron, if you have that video handy, Carrie Lake was asked about being an election denier. And she was ready for that question. Let me know if you can find that clip on Twitter. It's pretty easy to find, actually. Just, some poor reporter says, I'm going to ask the usual dopey media party question to Carrie Lake. And he thought he would get the normal, I'm so sorry answer. But the way she swats back, I see that Efron's got that. Let me just play a clip of this, Marie. You'll get a real kick out of it. Here, I hope she wins so badly. She's a star on Twitter. I don't know if that translates to support on the ground. But here, maybe you've seen this before. I thought this was wonderful. Take a look.
I don't know what the problems are going to be. I don't know what the problems are going to be. But I know that people are feeling disenfranchised today. I saw a woman walk away from a line today. Guys, I'm asking you in the media, do you think this is normal? You're young. You didn't vote back in the day when I started voting, where you walked up, cast your ballot, they counted it right there in the small precinct, and you knew the results the night of the election. We can't keep having elections run this way. We're going to have Hillary Clinton losing her mind when she's another election denier. She's already predicting bad elections in 2024. We've got to get this fixed. I want my children who voted for the first time today I want them to have a country, and we need to have honest elections and transparent elections. Now, I hope that we get all these problems solved. I hope they get solved. Did you already ask the question? I don't know what the...
That's not actually the clip I had in mind, but that was a good one nonetheless. She had one where she just had a stack of quotes of Democrats being election deniers. Don't worry about it, Efron. That was a good clip nonetheless. I don't know. I mean, there's a crop of brash, tough Republicans, and I know, and it's a weird thing because a lot of Democrat super PACs, I know this sounds crazy to Canadians because this would be such skullduggery in this country, but Democrat donors were boosting Trumpy Republicans in the primaries. They were literally
They did
donating.
it in my state too.
Yeah, they were.
JB Pritzker donated like more than $20 million of his own money to his rival. And then they scream, oh, these people are so crazy and they're so radical. It's like, hey, they won their primary because of you.
It's so weird. Like, and because they thought, okay, we want the craziest Republican in their mind, the Trumpiest Republican, because A, they won't be palatable to the voter, and B, it'll motivate the Democratic base. Maybe, but that's sort of a risky strategy because what happens if they actually win? I mean, I remember the media party in 2015 when Trump first declared. They said, oh, what a laugh. He's such a joke. I'm for Trump because it'll be such a disaster for the Republicans. Plus, he's hilarious. And they all thought it was really, really funny until he won. And they're playing that same playbook again. And you have, like, Blake Masters is Trumpier than Trump in some ways. Yeah. I really want to see how he does in Arizona. Like, just a strong America First message and just the anti-woke candidate, that whole Arizona crew, it'll be a real test if they win. And I don't think polls close there for another half hour, but that'll be amazing to see.
And like going back to what you were saying, like about election security problems, like it's different in every state, but I don't think Canadians even realize when I went to vote today, all I was asked is, what is your last name? And then they're like, this is your first name. I'm like, yes. And they're like, this is your address. I'm like, yes. And then they just printed out a little receipt, had me sign it, and then I got my ballot and I voted and I put it in the scanner and I left. But who's to say if you know someone's first and last name and you know their address, what could stop you from voting for them? Because she didn't have a computer. It was like just like a piece of paper with all the people in my area because I'm a smaller precinct. There was no voter ID check. There's none of that going on like it does in Canada. And I'm just shocked every time I vote here being like, this is so weird.
Yeah, that really is weird. That's terrifying. I mean, you went in there in good faith and no shenanigans, but I could only imagine. So they literally didn't ask you for any card or any ID of any sort?
You don't need it. You just need to be registered to vote. And if you're registered to vote, you just go where you're supposed to go. Like, cause like you have them in for your specific area, you go there, you're on a list. They check you off that you've done it. You sign a little thing saying like, yep, this is me. And then you go and get your ballot.
That's unbelievable.
Wow.
Well, Marie, it's great to see you again. And thanks for giving us a dispatch from the deep blue state of Illinois. But I take your point that it's just Cook County and the rest of the state. I mean, and that's how it is in so many of these states. If you look at the map of the, of just the land by land mass, it's by counties that vote Republican. The whole country looks red with a few little blue dots, but that's because they're sparse rural places that are large, and you've got these intense deep blue cities that are like pinpricks. But the size of the, you know, they may be small geographically, but they're so demographically powerful. I think that's one of the reasons why the idea of an electoral college and giving each state 2 seats in the Senate, there's some brilliance there from the founding fathers to protect the smaller interests. I know that the left hates that, but thank God for it. Anyways, it's been great to see you. Thanks for joining us tonight, and we'll keep watching you on TikTok and on your Instagram Reels, and keep up the fight at the Westphalian Times.
Thank you for having me on. Have a good night.
Right on. That's Marie Oakes. Well, Sheila, great to...
Freedom in 2022 is your right to disagree with me anytime on anything, in your heart, online, or in the public square. Freedom in 2022 is also your right to live your life however you see fit without hurting me or, for that matter, being bothered by me. But freedom in 2022 is in very real danger under constant attack by Justin Trudeau through his censorship bills, his attacks on gun rights, his attacks on farmers, and his attacks on peaceful protesters. These people have even tried to denormalize our flag. At Rebel News, we're not afraid to have dangerous discussions that Justin Trudeau, the media, and big tech censors say we're not allowed to have. And we want to have them with you at our upcoming Rebel Live events, first in Toronto, November 19th, and again in Calgary, Saturday, November 26th. I'll be there with dozens of other Rebels and Rebel-adjacent free thinkers, and I hope that you'll join us. Just go to rebelnewslive.com to get your tickets today, but do not sleep on this, because these tickets are going fast. See you soon.